One of the most effective tools that you have as a fundraiser at your nonprofit organization are the stories that you choose to tell. And as you think about the stories that you tell, recognize that there are 4 universal themes in stories. And whether you're watching a movie or you're seeing advertising on television or in magazines or maybe political advertising, you'll see that they use one or more of these 4 universal themes in order to create effective storytelling. And you can use these same tools, these same themes, to be more effective in communicating your story with your donors and constituents.
So we have 4 themes that we're going to touch on. 2 positive, 2 negative. And 2 of these are individual and 2 of these are collective. So the first one we want to start with is mob at the gates. Now, this is one of those themes that sometimes nonprofit organizations don't realize they have, but particularly if you're in the advocacy arena, you definitely have a mob at the gates story. This is the story where there is a group of people that's trying to take things away from you, that's trying to change your way of life to not be as good as it could be. And so one of the things that, for instance, we deal with a lot in the United States that is a mob at the gates in many of the political advertising that we see is immigration, or maybe it's the refugee crisis in Europe. But these are people who are outside, who some people are trying to tell stories about, saying that they're going to take away your way of life. And so it is that collective, a bunch of people trying to take away something that you have.
That is the collective negative story. The collective singular or collective individual story is right at the top. And granted, this could be an individual, it could be an organization, a corporation, a governmental entity. But the idea behind it is right at the top is that concept that there are people or entities that have great wealth, that have great power, and they abuse it. They abuse it. They abuse it to benefit themselves or to suppress the rights and wills or opportunities and benefits of others. So think about it. Do you have a mob at the gate story? Do you have a right at the top story that can help you effectively communicate your message about the need of support for your organization?
So one of the stories that is probably more prevalent in NGOs and in the nonprofit sector is the triumphant individual.
Oh yeah, most people have this story.
Yes, definitely. This is the person who achieves things against all odds and comes out victorious. For example, it might be a student who ends up going through a very difficult time trying to get their education and then comes back as the headmaster of that school. Yeah. Wouldn't that be an awesome story?
Yeah.
So a lot of the testimonials that you have for maybe your beneficiaries or your clients, the people who use your services, they are the triumphant individuals in your story.
And that is your individual positive story. Now your individual collective story, all of you have this story. Every nonprofit organization has this story, and this is the story of benevolent community. It's when you come together for the good of all. It's when you come together to benefit the greater community that you are a part of. So think of the stories that you have. Every donor that contributes to your organization becomes a part of that benevolent community to serve others within that community, or sometimes in separate communities. But they come together to do good. And the collective good that they're able to do because they are a part of that community is exponentially stronger than if they were solely making an individual contribution.
So our themes, once again, our universal themes for your storytelling, for your non-governmental organization, include mob at the gates, rod at the top, triumphant individual, and benevolent community. The best stories will include themes from all 4 things, so think about the different stories that you might be able to share, the stories that you might be able to tell from your universal themes.